We are halfway up the biggest building at One Central Park on Broadway in Sydney, and this is the vertical garden, the green wall that you can see. And I'm here with site manager Andrew Baxter, who's currently doing some gardening. Andrew, the building is 3 years old now. How does the garden look?
Oh, I think it looks fantastic on a whole. It's a pleasure to be part of the project. There's lots of things in flower at the moment.
It does look beautiful. Has it turned out how you expected?
Well, I guess so. I'm not sure whether anyone could really anticipate the extent of which it's turned out, but I think it's looking pretty good. We've got lots of flowering plants, we've got lots of pollinators out here. We're providing habitat for birds and insects. We've seen things like peregrine falcons out here and rainbow lorikeets, which has been fantastic.
And now, what's it like working on a site like this? Clearly you're not scared of heights?
Well, I try to put it out of my mind. I'm generally not scared of heights, but it's part of the challenge.
What about the enjoyment you get from, it's not just any old gardening job, is it?
Yeah, I get a great level of enjoyment. It's really satisfying to be part of a project that's representative of growth, emerging industry that's, I think, is possibly part of the future that we have ahead of us in terms of horticulture and urban horticulture and living infrastructure.
I mean, how emerging is this type of building? I mean, how common is this?
Well, to this extent, I believe this is the only one of its kind in Australia, so of this scale in particular.
And what about in the world?
Well, I think there are other projects like this.
Andrew, this is probably a question that everybody in Sydney has asked at one point, but what is that?
That's what's known as the heliostat. It receives light directed up to it from this array of mirrors behind us.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially illuminates shaded parts of the building complex and areas like the escalator plantings, either side of the escalators, inside the mall.
Right, so we're on top of the western building, the smaller of the two green buildings.
Yes.
And on top there is a bank of these mirrors. They bounce the light up into the heliostat, which in turn reflects it around the building to places where the sun don't shine.
Yeah, kind of like a periscope.
Do you ever have a moment when you're up here working where you just step back and think, look at where I am, look at my job?
I do, yeah, it's great. It's very satisfying to be out here and to have the opportunity to view such a large scale exciting project such as this from this perspective, which I'm sure not many people get to see.
I can see the appeal.